From X-Men 97 and Marvel Comics straight into the Milky Way Ghetto, Hasbro Marvel Legends Deathbird is finally here, joined by Gladiator of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. But did Hasbro actually give fans what they wanted, or is this bird missing a few feathers? And why does Gladiator, Marvel's so-called Superman, feels more like an accessory than a co-star? Let's break down the sculpt, articulation, and whether this release brings Imperial Guard glory or leaves collectors wanting more. I say wanting more because when you look at this Marvel Legends Deathbird figure, she comes with zero accessories. No signature staff or spear, nothing. Meanwhile, the Superman of Marvel Gladiator gets an alternate heat vision head and a pair of extra hands. We'll dive into Deathbird's missing gear later, but for now, let's look at the Easter eggs Hasbro hid in the packaging. The comic book art on the side for Deathbird is a direct callback to Deathbird and Bishop, pulled straight from the classic Uncanny X-Men stories. After a phalanx attack leaves Deathbird critically injured, Bishop rescues her, beginning a complicated and manipulative relationship. After the X-Men aided Deathbird in her battle, they journeyed back to Earth, but their ship was disseminated and Deathbird teleported only herself and Bishop to safety. This art captures the moment where Deathbird appears to be tending to Bishop's wounds, when in reality she's drugging him to ensure his loyalty as she plots to reclaim the Shi'ar throne. The second image is from the cover of Uncanny X-Men number 358, Lost in Space, showing Deathbird and Bishop fighting for survival in space. At the back of the box, the artwork jumps forward to the Krakoan age, pulled from X-Men number 17. The new Magistrate, Sandra, had disappeared. Deathbird calls on the X-Men for help, while the Gladiator packaging art also ties directly to the same issue. On the opposite side, Gladiator artwork is taken from All New X-Men number 23, depicts him capturing the time-displaced young Jean Grey, a reminder that the Shi'ar still haven't forgiven the crimes they associate with the Phoenix. Finally, at the back, the Gladiator art comes from the Guardians of the Galaxy number 4, where he appears as part of the Dark Guardians, hunting Gamora rather than serving the Imperial Guard. Here is the short bio. Pause it right now if you want to have a read. It says, Deathbird has seized the throne of Lilandra, placing Gladiator firmly under her command. Based on that bio, we can say this so-called accessory in this hostage pack is Gladiator. With all confidence, he is Marvel's version of Superman. That was completely intentional because his real name is Kal Lark, a direct play on Kal-El and Clark Kent. So yes, he is Marvel's Superman. In my Marvel Legends X-Men collection, I already own the Gladiator from the 2014 SDCC Thanos Imperative exclusive. I do not have the repainted version from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave in 2018. When comparing the 2014 SDCC Gladiator with this 2025 Marvel Legends 2-pack version, there are some noticeable changes, but not all of them are clear upgrades. First, let's talk about the buck. The 2014 Gladiator is built on the classic Hyperion body, complete with visible pins. The new 2-pack Gladiator appears to be based on the Hercules buck, which is now a pinless version of it. The head sculpts are completely different, showing nearly a decade of improvement. The mohawk has more defined and detailed hair strands, and the new head sculpt features comic book accurate blue eyes, whereas the older version has solid white eyes, a soulless look for Gladiator. That white out eye look is missing for the new Gladiator, but later we will be doing some head swaps. Both Gladiator figures rely almost entirely on painted details, with no sculpted gloves, belt, or boots. The chest insignia is also painted on rather than sculpted. The 2-pack version uses flatter colors, while the 2014 SDCC exclusive Gladiator has metallic finishes and dark washes that better highlight the muscle sculpt. Before filming this review, I actually planned to sell the 2014 Gladiator to free up some shelf space and add some budget back to the hobby. But paint-wise, I honestly think the 2014 version looks better, especially with the white out eyes. The cape is the exact same mold, just with different paint applications, and articulation between both figures is nearly identical. Hasbro did give this new Gladiator a skin tone neck, but there is still no modern neck swivel, and there are no butterfly joints either. Realistically, the only meaningful upgrade for Gladiator is the 2 new head sculpts. Us here in the Milky Way Ghetto call this a budget cut. Hasbro though seems to be positioning this as a major upgrade for Gladiator, mainly because of the Superman style heat vision smoky eye effect. Honestly, it would have been nice if Hasbro included an interchangeable heat vision blast, similar to what MAFEX and SH Figuarts typically do. Unlike the Thanos Imperative release, this Gladiator does come with an alternate pair of open palm hands. They aren't symmetrical, the finger poses are slightly different on each hand. In the comments below, let me know, is this truly a hostage pack, where collectors are forced to buy a Gladiator with only minor upgrades just to get Deathbird? If you found this review helpful, I appreciate if you give this review a hype, a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this with our fellow collectors. For places where the figures in this review might still be available, I left some links in the description below.
I'm Tigerknight!
Now that we look at the upgrades of Gladiator, let's talk about why I think he's actually just an accessory to the real star of the Milky Way Ghetto, Deathbird. Before we get to the head sculpt, because there's only one, let's start with the torso details. Prior to this new Marvel Legends Deathbird, customizers were using the Age of Apocalypse Shadowcat baddie as a base. Thankfully, Hasbro didn't just repaint that body, because this new torso is a huge improvement. Do I think Hasbro is finally stepping up in the right direction here? Yes, this is a comic book accurate upper torso. If you look closely, just really close, look at that pair. The pair of silver pipes running from the front of her torso and connecting to the back. I honestly don't know if her back was always designed this way, because she almost always has her feathered cape covering it. Although in the side view comic book art, it clearly shows the pipes from her chest and wrist to connect to her back. I have to commend Hasbro here, because their usual excuse for skipping back details is, no one will notice. Well, I noticed, and I appreciate it a lot. Now from the back, let's turn our eyes to the front, but still not the head, staying focused on the torso design. Deathbird was given a generous amount of plastic so Hasbro could achieve a comic book accurate costume. Normally, Hasbro would just paint the costume over a flesh torso, but here we actually get an overlay plastic. Deathbird isn't cosplaying in body paint. She's wearing Shi'ar armor designed to protect her heart. The double-jointed elbows also appear to be sculpted specifically for this character. Side by side with Jim Lee's artwork, the forearm guard design is spot on. The legs aren't 100% accurate to the Jim Lee art, but they're close enough. Since Deathbird is the sister of Lilandra, they share the same double-jointed knee design complete with that extra armor covering the knees. The cape features a really nice feathered bird texture at the back, which looks great in hand. The major missing accessory for this bird though is her wings. While wings weren't heavily used in Jim Lee's art, during Deathbird's first appearance in Miss Marvel number 9 in 1977, she actually had retractable wings. That's a very important and unique trait because it represents classic Shi'ar legacy. Modern Shi'ar no longer have retractable wings, making it a thing of the past. Am I upset that Hasbro did not include her wings? Honestly, not that much. This Marvel Legends Deathbird fits perfectly on a 1990s X-Men comic book display. As shown in the 90s Jim Lee art, Gladiator ripped off her wings. However, it would have been nice to include them since retractable wings are one of Deathbird's most unique character traits. In the 2000s, Deathbird returned to a more classic comic book look, with the wings clearly visible, especially during her marriage to Vulcan. Remember when I said this ruthless lady has a lot of lovers? Vulcan was one of them. The best man at their wedding was Darwin, Vulcan's fellow deadly Genesis teammate. More recently, Deathbird was romantically involved with Sunspot, which is such an unlikely but interesting pairing. And let's be honest, Deathbird clearly dominated that relationship. Calciye Neramani, or I should just probably call her Deathbird, since she lost her right to her real name, comes with only one head sculpt in this Marvel Legends release. It's a devilish, smiling expression, clearly inspired by the Jim Lee artwork from Uncanny X-Men 274. And while I do appreciate this evil grin, in the comics, Deathbird is often portrayed as a more stoic and serious lady. She also comes across much more serious in her appearance in X-Men 97. That said, I'm really impressed with the face print here. The eye details and mouth are clean, sharp, and well executed by Hasbro. The crown is molded in a shiny purple Hasbro plastic. It isn't metallic, but it still looks good in hand. Her hair is fully sculpted, and it reminds me of the unmasked Wolverine head sculpt. In fact, it specifically reminds me of the MAFEX Weapon X figure that I recently reviewed. One big question I had going into this review was whether this Marvel Legends Deathbird would actually work on an X-Men 97 display shelf. For Gladiator, it's a no-brainer. The answer is an easy yes. For Deathbird, it's a little bit more complicated. Her costume in X-Men 97 features sleeveless arms, a different crown, and more sculpted armor details. The purple is slightly different in shade, but even with those differences, I still think this figure can work on an X-Men 97 shelf without looking out of place. As long as you don't look close enough to see they have detailed strands of hair as opposed to the blocky ones that X-Men 97 figures have. This new Marvel Legends Deathbird body is so beautifully sculpted that I had to try some head swaps. Since the cape isn't removable, head swapping is limited to sculpts with hair swept to one side. Long hair flowing straight down won't peg in properly because of the cape. Short hair sculpts or something like the Lilandra head would work. Here's Deathbird head on the Lilandra body. I guess the Magistric look just doesn't really work well for Deathbird. Just to bring back his confidence up, let's go back to the co-star, not the accessory, of this Marvel Legends 2-pack, Superman or Gladiator. Let's do some head swaps. Here's the old Gladiator head with the soulless white-out eyes on the new body. And honestly, this is a much needed look for this figure. Here's the new blue-eyed head on the old body, which actually gives him a nice metallic upgrade in terms of the costume. Speaking of upgrades, here is the Heat Vision smoky eyes on the old body. This also looks excellent. For the laser eyes firing setup, I did have to cheat because there is no way to properly peg the Cyclops optic blast into Gladiator's eye. The optic blasts are held in place using a blue tack attached to the supporting closed fists. The new Marvel Legends Deathbird stands 16.6 cm or 6.5 inches tall, mainly because of her large hairstyle. Realistically, she's closer to 15 cm or 5.9 inches tall. This puts her right in line with her 6-inch scale comic book height of 5 feet 8 inches tall. The new Marvel Legends Gladiator stands 18 cm or 7 inches tall. And I guess another thing that he and Deathbird have in common is that their hair add to their height, because Gladiator is more accurately around 17.2 cm or 6.8 inches tall. That also lines up nicely with his 6-inch scale comic book height of 6 feet 6 inches tall. The specific story where the two figures fit best is from Uncanny X-Men 275. So here they are displayed alongside key characters from that storyline: Warlord, Professor X, and her sister, the Magistrate, Lilandra. Lilandra is from the Brood Wolverine 2-pack. We have Deathbird and Gladiator standing beside X-Men Team Uniform 3-pack, Banshee, Psylocke, and Gambit. Then we have the rest of the X-Men Team Uniform, Marvel Legends Storm, Forge, and Jubilee 3-pack, along with the Uncanny X-Men Retro Team Uniform Wolverine. Here they are next to the 2014 SDCC Thanos Imperative 5-pack Gladiator and the Brood Wolverine. For the big question, do they fit on an X-Men 97 shelf? To test that one out, here's Gladiator and Deathbird next to the X-Men 97 Jean Grey and Cyclops 2-pack, the Yellow Tiger Stripe Wolverine and Rogue from the X-Men 97 Wave 1. From X-Men 97 Wave 3, here they are alongside Morph, Cable, and Emma Frost, all of which made it to my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2025. If you want to see whether they rank best or worst, be sure to check out those ranking videos in my channel. Speaking of the top 10 figures of 2025, here they are displayed with Maximum Series Deadpool and Maximum Series Spider-Man. Other standouts from 2025 include MAFEX Weapon X and SH Figuarts Gamerverse Cyclops, which actually stands surprisingly close to Deathbird's height. Did X-Ray Studio deliver the best figure of 2025? The X-Ray Studio 2025 exclusive Gold Hilder. And besides Deathbird, we also have Loose Collector and Halimao Sculptures Darna. The men in Deathbird's life: X-Men 97 Sunspot, Vulcan, Mesco 112 Collective Bishop. For a 6-inch scale versus 7-inch scale size comparison, Marvel Legends 8 Years Hulk and the Marvel Select Immortal Hulk or the Rampaging Hulk. For articulation, Deathbird's head can move from side to side easily, can look up, look down, tilt to side. Her arms can extend that far. She cannot do a full 360 because the cape gets in the way. She does not have a butterfly joint. She has a bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, wrists can swivel, hinging of hands can be hindered by the forearm guards. She has a upper torso swivel. She does not have a waist swivel. She can crunch forward that much, crunch backward. She can do a split. She has a upper thigh swivel. Can kick backward that far with her double jointed pinless knees. Can kick forward. She does not have a boot cut. Feet can hinge forward and back and has an ankle rocker. Gladiator's head can move from side to side easily. With a neck peg hinge, he can look up that far, look down. Arms can extend that far. He can do a full 360 with some hindrance because of his cape. He doesn't have a butterfly joint. Bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows. Wrist can swivel, hinge forward and back. He can crunch forward this much, crunch backward. He has a waist swivel. He can do a split, upper thigh swivel. Double jointed pinless knees, can kick back that far, kick forward. He has a boot cut. Feet can hinge forward and back, and he has an ankle rocker. So is this another of the many hostage packs of 2025? Like I mentioned earlier, I was planning to sell my 2014 SDCC Thanos Imperative Gladiator, but now I'm undecided because of the gaps between these two versions. The Deathbird sculpt is genuinely impressive, but for me, it still doesn't justify why she comes with no accessories at all. I hope this review helped justify why you might want to check out my other deep dive comprehensive Marvel Legends reviews. Here is an X-Men playlist on the top right corner of your screen. Thanks for watching and a happy 2026. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a hype, a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this with our fellow collectors. I hope to see you in the next one.